Welcome, Motenta people. They called him the male Brigitte Bardot, and in a way he was. He had talent and was a chronic womanizer who had difficulties committing without having affairs. Yet he remained the darling of men, with more women flocking around him wanting his attention. Alain Delon is the man and the legend, a relic of the French golden age of cinema. Was Alain Delon part of the French criminal underworld? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, they say. This translates crudely to what you like or find beautiful might not be for someone else. But there is some beauty that all beholders would unanimously agree to be beautiful. Alain Delon. Alain Delon was the unanimous beauty. Everyone, both women and men, were his beholder. And honestly, what is not to behold about this statuesque hunk? His gray eyes hold a mysterious quality to them. They are cold yet clear. The eyes have a depth that many audiences were to swim in and lose themselves in forever, for they were an endless void of emptiness. The emptiness can be attributed to the time the man spent in the military. From a person's eyes, you can see life and you can see hope. In Delon's, you would be treated to an alluring icy emptiness. Delon claimed that he died during the Indochina War, as it scraped feelings of hope and life from Delon. He was in the last periods of his teens when he joined the army, and the remaining child in him became lost forever. Interestingly, despite this, the man was a dream everyone wanted to have. So as you can see, he wasn't just a hunk. He was a thoughtful man, a poet of sorts. Fewer actors in France were as talented as him. With his talent, well, you can expect that the man would become a little bit cocky. But he wasn't just that. Delon was a complex man, arrogant, emotional, and has an abundance of flair for the dramatic. He was also ruthless, which can attribute to the loss of feelings of being alive he gained from the army. Delon took his son to court based on the boy's brand stealing some aspects of Delon's brand. Not exactly Father of the Year stuff from the hunky French star, but his son too wasn't in the right. Rather than a family meeting, the pair duked it out in court. There's another instance of ruthlessness also. We'll discuss it later, but let's give you a hint. It's connected to the French criminal underworld. The superstar actor wasn't just ruthless. He was also an emotional man, and he didn't mind expressing the extent of what he felt even in public. Years after Charles de Gaulle's death and during a tribute, Alain Delon was charged with running the commentary on a film about Charles de Gaulle and his era of leadership. As the film came, Alain's voice spread through the air, commentating about de Gaulle and his era. The film covered significant events of the de Gaulle leadership, including the eras of popular media content such as TV programs, actors, films, popular songs, and adverts. It contained iconic moments of French cinema, such as the rise of some of its most popular stars and the pert backside of the notorious Brigitte Bardot. The film also contained the stars that died in the era. As these images ran on the screen, the actor known for playing icy yet charismatic villains began to sob. Sometimes the sobbing was interjected with a brief wail, as the pain it lost coursed through the French box office legend's body. He relived the era where he also ruled the French box office and seemed to have the Midas touch as all the films he worked on became gold. The next day, deep into his melancholy, the man came to complete the next part of his commitment. He was to read the famed General de Gaulle appeal, which was to rouse the patriotic French to halt the progress of the marauding German army of the Second World War. First, the star paid his respects to Charles. Then he gazed at the sun as if to war with it. But he wasn't looking at the sun, nor was he looking to fight. No, Alain was looking at the magnificent Lorraine Cross. His focused eyes were him slipping into the character of the esteemed general turned president. And he slipped into that character with unparalleled grace. With a subtle dramatic flair, his voice firm, and his reading slow and weighty, you would think at that moment France was at war. In that brief period, Alain had traveled into the past and had donned the persona of the general who called the French to aid France's war effort. Delon read, "I, General de Gaulle, currently in London, invite French officers and soldiers located on the British territory, or those heading this way, armed or unarmed, as well as engineers and specialized workers of the armament industries, to contact me. It wasn't a moment of applause. The man had taken people to the dark times that dotted their history, the period where even the future was uncertain. We are, however, certain that those that listened to him would be in awe of one of France's most popular men. His popularity even spread to Japan, and Delon knew. It's one of the things he was cocky about. The actor would brag that during his heydays, he was an emperor in Japan, and he influenced the dressing style of male youth, who copied his hair and dress style. The man even boasted that as he entered into a cab, the driver pointed out that his passenger was a Frenchman, like Alain Delon. They only knew two French names in Japan, de Gaulle and Delon, the actor bragged. He sure did like bringing himself up along with de Gaulle. You would think he met the general turned president during his lifetime, but he didn't. The only time he was in the same place as the president, he only gazed at him from afar. While established stars like Brigitte Bardot had the honor of meeting the esteemed man and also courting controversy while doing so, the hunky man was still unknown. In that event, he was just a mere orderly, but he wasn't that for long. Alain became a huge star and feels like the newer generation of actors pales in comparison to him and his peers. He said, "It's a shallow, worthless era soured by money. We no longer film with a moving camera, but a digital thing stuck on the end of your fist. No one gives a damn about anything anymore." Perhaps this thought helps him handle the fact that he was now older and the industry had left him behind. His disdain for the new generation is understandable in a way. The man had an incomparable talent. His daughter, Anushka, the only child of his he truly loved and is on good terms with, claimed that she had never seen her father spend much time on rehearsals. She said while she had to work hard to become her character, her father just instantly became the role required him to become. He was a natural. The marbled-eye actor became natural because of director Yves Allegret, who gave him his first role. It was that director that told him not to act, but to live, and live he did. Rather than act, Delon was just himself. Well, it tracks. After all, Delon used to say he is an actor, and actors became what they were by accident and not by some school. The actor, who is now older and grateful for his career, has said he is lucky to have one, claimed it wouldn't have been the same if he went to a school or had a director father. To Alain, that accident factor behind his career gave him a career and a unique style. Remember, Alain's still cocky. The man called those that went to school to learn the craft comedians, and by his definition, his daughter Anushka was a comedian. She went to a drama school to learn the craft, and even at that, she couldn't scratch the surface of what her father could do. She was by his definition a comedian that acts, and while he was an actor that lived. Oh, and he lived. I've been loved my entire life. Only a few other men were loved like me. Alain Fabien Maurice Marcel Delon, or Alain Delon as we know him, lied. He hasn't been loved all his life. He was born on November 8, 1935, in the suburbs of France, Seine, now Hauts-de-Seine. His birth father, Fabien, managed a local cinema, while his mother, Edith, worked in a pharmacy. When he was 4, his parents divorced, and this incident stayed with him all his life. It affected his ability to truly love and commit. His parents remarried, but neither of them took him with them. They instead sent him off to foster parents. His foster father was a warden, and the boy lived next to a prison, which isn't the best kind of environment for a young man to grow up in. It's no surprise that Alain would develop a rebellious streak that got worse when his foster parents died. His birth parents, who had created new families of their own, shared his custody, but doing this strained them, and they put him in a boarding school. Alain got expelled from that school, and a couple of other schools as well. In the end, he had to stay with his mom and began to serve as an apprentice to his stepfather, who was a butcher. At 17, Alain, brimming with optimism, wanted to be more, and when the opportunity came, he took it. While on a subway trip, he saw an advert for the Air Force, and he also wanted to become one of the test pilots. However, when he applied, the class for pilots had closed, but there was one more option: to become a paratrooper. Like that, He was off to join the French army. He didn't enjoy the army. The army was built on order and discipline. But Delon? He was the opposite of that. The boy had long served as an agent of chaos and indiscipline, and the regimented life of the army sapped up what was left of his innocence and optimism. Out of the 4 years he spent in the army, he spent almost a year in prison for indiscipline. It was no surprise when he was dishonorably discharged. Out of the army with no job, Alain worked a couple of jobs. He was a porter, then a waiter, and found small work as a secretary. At some point, the legend became friends with either Jean-Claude Brierly or Brigitte Aubert, and he got an invitation to go to the Cannes Film Festival from one of the two. Sources quote who took him to the festival differently. However, he certainly went to the festival, and it was there that he got approached by different talent scouts. Notable among them was a scout for David O. Selznick, the producer of the iconic Hollywood film Gone with the Wind. Selznick screen tested the star and then gave him a conditional contract of multiple picture deals. The condition of the contract was that Alain must learn the English language within a specific period. Some say the period was 3 months. Excited at the opportunity of going to Hollywood, when Alain returned to France, he began to ready himself to learn the language, but met French director Yves Allégret, who convinced him to start his career in France. Graciously, Selznick allowed the contract's cancellation, and Alain was free to take up the part that director Yves had for him. The director offered Alain a role in the film Send a Woman When the Devil Fails, where he played the role of a young assassin. Allégret didn't only give him that role, but also mentored and gave the actor tips about how he should act. Just a year after his debut, he broke out in France with the film Christine, where he played the role of a soldier who had an affair with the wife of his commander, while also managing to fall in love with Romy Schneider's character. Delon and Schneider then developed a steamy romance, which led to an engagement. However, it wouldn't last. Delon cheated. A fine man like Delon charmed women effortlessly, and he soon began an affair with Nico, a German actress and singer. They had a son, which the star shipped to his parents. How ironic, Delon did to this child what his parents did to him. No wonder he and the boy don't see eye to eye. He allegedly doesn't have a good relationship with any of his sons. His daughter that he managed to have a relationship with turned out to be the unluckiest. It was as if his daughter was to pay the price of his success. While many people loved him, some envied him and took out their frustrations on his daughter. Producers didn't want to work with her, and at school, people would whisper that they were eager to see her fail. This didn't help the psyche of the girl, who was already burdened with her feeling of not having a talent. Still, she didn't give up her dream of becoming an actress, and continued to love both films and her dad. We can't say the same about Romy Schneider, who, when she learned of Delon's transgressions, stopped seeing a future with him. The two parted ways, and Delon didn't take long before he began a relationship with another actress, going on to marry this actress and having a child with her. Delon had another son, but it wasn't enough to keep the two together. The star left, but the two lived together for a while before parting ways. The man got his international breakout with Purple Noon, where he acted in the role of Tom Ripley, delivering one of his best performances ever as a chilling yet cerebral killer. His cockiness got him the role, as he was slated for another role in the film. However, Alain just walked to the director and producers, asking them to remove the already known Jacques Chérier from the role of Ripley and use him instead. The producers were shocked, and they got angry. They challenged Delon, but he wouldn't back down. Delon gave a short performance by imitating the accent of the director's wife. The wife, impressed, told her husband, the famed Ray Clement, that he should use Alain. The rest, as they say, is history. Monsieur Delon would go on to feature in amazing films afterward and dominated the box office. However, he wasn't perfect. He was hot in Europe and in some parts of Asia, but Hollywood is what he wanted to conquer. He had done some work with MGM, where he amassed great wealth, but asked the studio not to pay him, but give him distribution rights in some countries. However, what Alain wanted was complete and utter domination in Hollywood. It didn't work. He gave it his all, but his foray into Hollywood were box office disappointments. The actor then stayed put in France and continued to dominate. Even when people thought he would lose the fans, they remained loyal. It was the Markovic Incident. Markovic, Delon's friend and bodyguard, was found dead. His body was inelegantly stored in a dumpster just outside Paris. Delon and a gangster boss became persons of interest in the investigation. And the investigation uncovered a deep mess of naughty parties that celebrities and members of the government or their spouses participated in. The wife of the foremost politician and future French president, Georges Pompidou, was involved. The wife had gotten herself in a blackmail situation, with someone having hold of pictures of her participation. Perhaps Markovic had been the one to get those pictures, as before his death, he revealed that it would be Delon and gangster boss François Marcantoni that'll be responsible. The police investigated and found nothing to incriminate the star with, so he was let go. Instead of his reputation crashing, it soared, and he cashed in on it, as he was featured in gangster movies. Delon didn't wait for his popularity to plummet before engaging in business. He sold fashion items, wines, and leather, produced movies, and organized boxing matches. The glasses that he designed as part of his fashion items became a hit in Asia when Chow Yun-fat wore them in a hit movie of his. The star is much older now, retired from acting, and with a dazzling career filled with nominations and awards. There was no doubt that Alain Delon thought it was a good idea to kiss all women. But what about Julie Andrews, who also thought the same thing? Why Julie Andrews thought kissing another woman is a great idea? Watch this.